Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca Kelly from Flat Living Magazine, and I'm here today with Matthew Billington from Jigsaw Infrared. Nice to see you, Matthew.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Great to have you here. So, I'm going to just jump straight into 10 minutes with, and the first question for you is you're from Jigsaw Infrared, so what's your role there?
I'm managing director. My roles really are the product development and the business development for Jigsaw.
Perfect. And so, what does your role involve day to day?
Most of the day, it's liaising with manufacturing, developing the new products that we've got coming out, new ranges that we're working on, keeping a track of what's going on. Obviously, COVID's thrown a few curveballs into the mix recently, with supplies coming from different countries and manufacturing being a bit reduced. So that's been a bit interesting over the last 4 to 5 months, getting that back up and running full speed. Bit of a challenge, but the rest is the business development side of things, which is obviously expanding, improving our product ranges, but also we're looking to get into wholesale with some large companies, and also we're moving into countries in Europe, Sweden, obviously Ireland, Spain. So we're moving quite quickly.
Wow, it sounds like you've got a huge amount on. So I think for our audience as well, I'd like for them to understand what you actually do at Jigsaw and the products that you have available for them, really, as well.
Yeah, it's the infrared heaters. Everyone thinks that they're brand new that we produce, and the technology's actually been around for about 100 years. What we've done is developed a technology like the panel behind me, which is obviously a lot sexier than a normal radiator. Um,
Mhm.
Obviously, that we just put on the wall and we put water through it to heat the room. That's kind of archaic, really. The system that we've developed uses an infrared heating mat, and that produces infrared light we feel from the sun. And this is what we feel when we step out from the shade under a tree or somewhere into the fresh air and the direct sunlight. It's just exactly that same feeling. And that is more efficient to run. That's simply more efficient and more comfortable to feel and live with as well. So we're also developing in partnerships with manufacturers to develop control systems that can turn a room onto different temperatures based on air temperature, but also motion as well. So what we're trying to create, what we have created, is a system that is more controllable, cleaner, more efficient, and obviously a lot prettier to look at than a normal radiator as well.
That sounds really clever. So just to confirm, because obviously we spoke about it before, but behind you isn't actually a picture as such. That is one of the heaters.
That's correct. Yeah, the
Yeah.
heater is a printed heater that we use, and we can do these on glass and all sorts now as well. So it's not just a single panel. We can turn that into a mirror. We can put that as a white panel and put it on the ceiling and hide it away. We can do pretty much anything that a client wants, really. The glass can be cut to pretty much any shape and size requested because it's a CNC process. So we can design and develop bespoke ranges for anyone and everyone.
That's amazing because that just looks so good behind you. Whereas obviously, if you had a radiator there, it'd be looking a little bit different. It sounds like you've got so much on with what you were talking about with the business development and stuff. So, what are you hoping to achieve in the next, say, 12 months or so?
Well, it's the reason the business is moving quite quickly is people are becoming more aware of the space that they are living in, but also the environment is becoming more and more considered when we're building properties or renovating properties. So with that, people are thinking about the heat and equipment that they're putting in, and obviously how much that costs to run, but not just the financial side of things, the environmental side of things as well. So we don't want to turn a gas heater on anymore. We want to turn something on that's run from a renewable source, or at least a green energy source. In this case, we have a lot of clients to install solar equipment into the properties as well as our heating systems. So they know that they can run at least partially the property from a green energy source. And that's where we are moving to quite quickly. We see a lot of our potential now as gas is removed from new builds in 2025. That electrification and electric heating will be the go-to source, and combining that with a renewable source such as solar and wind will mean that people will be heating their homes more comfortably for less.
Yeah, completely. That seems like the right, definitely thing to be doing. So, with all the growth and everything that you've got going on at the moment, where do you see yourselves in 5 years' time?
Well, we're quite quickly moving on with a full service as part of the business. So people don't just come for us for the specifications and the products. They come from us for the hand holding right through the process of measuring up the rooms and the spaces, but recommendations on the equipment that's going into the room, but also the additionality such as the water heating that we provide and the solar installations that we provide. So it's not just one element, one heating element. It's multiple applications that we can provide with the customers. And we're growing because of that. We have people travelling from as far north as obviously parts of Scotland down to us in Newcastle, but also people come from Cornwall just to our offices to actually see and feel what infrared feels like, and if it's possible for them to get on with it, really, to actually get used to a different heating system, because it does feel different. It's much cleaner. It doesn't stuffy. You don't get that stuffy feel from the air that you do with a gas system. So people, because they see it as a new option, they'd like to feel exactly what it feels like before they purchase. And it's interesting to see how far people will travel to actually come into the office and get that experience. So we imagine that that's going to grow more over the next 5 years. Also, as you see the new build developers coming online with the gas ban from 2025, large companies are now coming to us and looking at the viability of installing our systems and the cost effectiveness of doing that.
So it's much more, like you said, just it's about the bigger picture rather than just a small single heating source. It's the whole property, multiple apartments, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, the business started originally with us just supplying and installing maybe a couple of heaters for an extension or a conservatory room being added to. But within the first 12 months, that quickly expanded into full home renovations. A lot of people with storage heaters, for example, or convection heaters, they're extremely expensive to run. They're not very well, they're 100% efficient, but they're not controllable like our equipment is. So we usually can save at least 20% on energy bills as soon as people switch over to the infrared panels and the control systems, with the potential of that being even higher. Because obviously we're not heating rooms to 19, 20 degrees when there's no one in there. The motion sensor in our equipment actually says, no one's in there, let's keep that room to 15, 16 degrees and then boost that room when someone enters it and stays in there for 5 minutes or more. So we're trying the whole approach now. So it's not just a heater for a heater's sake, it's really considered approach.
Yeah, it sounds much more efficient and much more beneficial for everybody in their own homes as well.
Yeah.
So it sounds really interesting. I think we'd also like to know some more about you, because one of the things that we're conscious of is it's great to hear about the company and what you're doing as well, but also just about you and what kind of makes you tick. So the first question here is, what actually keeps you motivated and enthusiastic?
I actually joined the business. I mean, it's our business. We started it from a kitchen table, as most businesses start. And we saw a gap in the market, really. And my dad originally was the point of that gap. He had storage heaters in an apartment which were ugly to say the least, but also not very efficient and not very controllable. So he spent the first few months in that apartment looking for alternate sources of heating. And he kind of took the plunge into buying some of the equipment in just to test it and see what it did. And with that process, they were actually installed in the wrong place. They were installed where the storage heaters were originally. So they were too low. They should be installed at picture sort of height or on the ceiling. And that started really the first couple of years of the business, where we were doing a lot of research and development into different products, different places. We're now moving on to testing with local universities to see what the exact official and most efficient way of running this equipment is. And the reason for us doing this is to be able to build properties that are just more efficient and feel cleaner and just generally are more pleasant to be in. And I think that's one thing that the coronavirus has really pushed probably quite quickly, is that there could be periods where we're in this property for months on end, and if we're not looking after ourselves in our own properties, it's actually detrimental to our health to not have correct heating and airflow in that property. So that's where our investigations are. That's where a lot of our research and development is to ensure that we're building the best product, and in the best property, it's only going to feel a lot better than any other form of heating, and cheaper to run and greener. Again, just fantastic additions to add to that.
Yeah, completely right. I think we've all spent so much time at home, haven't we? That the priorities maybe have changed about the way we want our homes to be and what we kind of want to achieve in them, and for how they what they should be doing for us.
Yeah, and interestingly, we see that a lot of companies are still allowing staff to remain in their home offices and work from home. And I think we'll only ever see people growing more concerned about the environment that we are living in. And this is why a lot of people are moving or renovating or spending more money on their properties now, because they might feel that they might be there for another 2 or 3 months solid, like we have been this last year.
Yeah, definitely. So for you, what's the most important lesson that you've learned in your career?
I think it's about trying to do the best that we can with what we are doing with the products that we're working on. There are a lot of companies out there that are taking shortcuts with things like product safety, but also the testing process as well. And we saw very quickly that this is not what a family business does. This is not what something should be put onto the UK market or the European market or the world market should be like. So we spent a lot of time a lot of my time is spent liaising with test centres, university test centres as well, to ensure that we are putting the best products that we can on the market. And that's why we're proud to be supported by Made in Britain. And that is an application process. You don't just get it for sending an email in. You actually have to earn that process. And that means that we're bringing people into roles from the UK. The manufacturing stays in the UK. But also we can respond much quicker to an order as well. It's not a 3-month order time for the equipment. It's a 3-week order time for the bespoke equipment that we do, or like the normal panels, it's usually next day or the day after. But we just take far more control of that, and keeping the products in the UK just means that we're supporting many businesses.
Yeah, and you sound really committed to that, both things being here in the UK and also the environmental aspects. And what comes across so much is that you're wanting to do the best that you can do so that your end clients are getting the best that you can be giving them.
It's exactly that. It's really important to us, and it's one of the things that we are noticed that we're being asked more when even in the first email, the first phone call is, where is the product being made? And we can say it's being made in Birmingham, it's being made in Yorkshire, it's being made in Liverpool, and those are our key points, that they are made where you can really go and visit the factory if you wanted to and actually see the product being made. And yet again, with what's happened over the last 12 months, that is becoming only more and more apparent. People don't want to wait that length of time to get things in. And people are considering exactly where they're coming from, because it's nice to know that your product is an official made in the UK product to a really high standard.
Yeah, and definitely that's, I think, so important. Like you say, we've become so much more aware of these over the last 12, 18 months. So with yourself, what ambition would you still like to fulfill?
I think we're moving very quickly into the developments of heating in larger products and businesses. So we're doing initial work with product building developers. So developers that are building, say, 120 to 200 plots and houses, apartments in blocks or on sites. So we're very quickly moving into that whole market, really, with some, I was going to start name dropping them, but I thought about not, with some large developers. And this is not just, again, with the heating option, it's with the heating and the hot water, but also the solar equipment too, and the control system. So it's a whole house approach. And talking about this recently, I think within the next 4 to 5 years, we'll probably be building properties ourselves, maybe to passive sort of standard. So really highly efficient, running our equipment to really see if we can run at net zero now, not by 2050. We're talking about by really 2026, 27. It is possible to do it now. We're seeing house builders that are doing it already. It's just we need to put that to the wider market. We need to stop building houses like we're doing at the moment. They're not efficient. We can actually make a change now.
It sounds really exciting to be part of that, definitely.
Yeah, so, it's watching lots and lots of grand designs back in the day. Unfortunately, we see these people can do it on their own, but you kind of get committed and you think, well, yeah, we can do this now. We really can apply ourselves and get this fixed.
Yeah, that's very true. So in the industry or property management sector, who do you admire the most?
Um, I'm not so sure about the industry that we're in, but obviously we've got aspirations, and we always talk about the cars being the aspirations in the manufacturing process. And you look at companies like Aston Martin and McLaren, their exact factories, the Ferraris of the world. They are very precise machines, and they are developed, engineered products that are really considered. And I don't think our heating element would ever get to that sort of stage, but that's the aspiration. You don't want to be seen as a cheap piece of equipment that's just lasts for a couple of minutes, a couple of years. You want it to be that forever product for someone, and they are investing in us and our business and our product. We want to ensure that we live up to those expectations of a 20-year lifespan of the product or more. And yet again, the product is recyclable after that process as well. So the glass is fully recyclable, the aluminium is fully recyclable. So it's that end-to-end service that we'd like to offer.
And such a high standard. I think that's kind of what people want, that confidence, isn't that what you're producing is to the highest level, that gives them that reassurance as well, that it's going to last as long as it should, can and should really.
Yeah, we test and test and test, and there's one key component in the heaters that most manufacturers have a life cycle of around about 10,000 cycles. Ours has 100,000 cycles, just because we're pushing the limits of what we can do. And that really gives us an opportunity to run in excess of 20 years, as opposed to 2 to 5 for some of the stuff that's coming in from other countries. We really want to push the lengths of what we can produce.
Yeah, which makes so much more sense, doesn't it? Because when you're talking about this sort of equipment, you'd be expecting it to last a number of years rather than those couple of years that you've mentioned coming in from other places.
Yeah. And there's no maintenance either with the equipment. The glass is simply a wipe over. The aluminium is exactly the same. So there's no maintenance needed with them either.
Perfect. Really nice and simple. So just one question for you. It seems to me that you've got a huge amount of ambition. You've got lots that you're working on. What do you actually do when you're not working?
Hopefully spend some time with the children. Got 2 young children, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and it's spending a lot of time with them because they move so quickly, and they certainly grow up too quickly. So it's a bit of downtime with them, building climbing frames, and maybe playing the Mario Kart with the daughter who's getting into it now. She's not quite beating me, but I don't think it'll be too long before we get to that point. It used to be going out for meals, which is seems a bit of a luxury at the moment. Hopefully that's going to come back soon. But yeah, just spending time with the family is the main focus at the moment.
Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant. So I obviously want to say thanks for your time, because I really appreciate obviously being able to have a chat with you and everything today. If people want to find out more about you, about Jigsaw Infrared, where can they find you?
Well, we're mostly on the web, so jigsawinfrared.co.uk. We're on there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. If someone's looking for bigger businesses or better connections, LinkedIn seems to be the place to go at the moment. But if there's any questions or any information needed or any site surveys, we can do those. But we can work from drawings. So if anyone's doing any developments or any refurbishments, we can work from drawings quite quickly and give a full spec. Product demonstrations, yet again, from that if needed.
Perfect. That's fantastic. Well, I'll make sure that your website address and contact details are with the video as well. So thanks so much for your time today. It's been great just to have a short bit of time with you and to let our audience know more about you. Thanks ever so much, Matthew.
You're welcome. Thank you. Cheers.